The ranch had been empty so long, the land itself seemed to forget voices. Then 4 figures appeared at the edge of Willow Bend, walking with the quiet resolve of people who had nowhere else to go. What followed would change a man who believed solitude was the only safe way to live. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to like the video and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. The winter light stretched thin across the open land of Willow Bend, washing the fences and fields in pale gold and shadow, giving the ranch a tired, weathered look that mirrored the man who lived there. Adam Mercer walked the fence line with a hammer in one hand and a strip of leather in the other, testing each post the same way he did every evening, slow and methodical, as if repetition itself kept the past at bay. He had rebuilt most of the corral alone, refusing help he never asked for and never expected. His life had narrowed into a strict rhythm of repairs, chores and long hours where the only sounds were wind and wood and iron. After his younger brother died on a cattle drive years earlier, Adam abandoned the trail work that once defined him and chose a place far from questions and memories. The ranch demanded only patience and maintenance, nothing emotional, nothing human. He knelt to tighten a loose rail when a sound reached him from behind, faint but deliberate. It wasn't wind and it wasn't livestock. It had weight and intent. Adam straightened slowly and turned toward the far edge of his property. 4 women were approaching on foot, moving together in a tight formation that spoke of necessity rather than choice. Their dresses were worn thin from travel, dust ground into the fabric, boots scarred by miles of hard ground. Despite exhaustion, their backs were straight, their steps measured as if stopping would mean falling apart. Adam's shoulders tensed, but he didn't reach for the holster at his hip. He stayed where he was, letting them come closer. Travelers passed through sometimes, but never like this, never with such controlled silence. The tallest woman walked at the front. Her name was Asha, though Adam didn't know it yet. Her face was calm but watchful, her jaw set with the strain of responsibility that hadn't been shared in a long time. Beside her moved Leah, younger, sharper, her eyes carrying a weight that went beyond her years. She studied the ranch as they walked, noting the gaps in the fence, the open barn door, the distance to the cabin, measuring risk with every step. She didn't try to hide it. Behind them came Nomi, smaller, softer, her hands clasped together as if holding herself steady. The youngest, Sunny, stayed close to Leah, fingers gripping her sister's sleeve with quiet desperation, fear leaking through the cracks of her brave silence. All 4 bore the marks of recent hardship. Hollow eyes, dust-caked hems, the look of people who had lost more than possessions. Adam stepped away from the fence, keeping his stance open and even. He waited. They stopped several yards away. For a moment no one spoke. Asha took a breath that sounded scraped raw by cold nights and too little water. "We need shelter," she said. "Only long enough to gather ourselves." Adam studied them without staring. He saw how Leah's gaze never left him, tracking his hands, his shoulders, his weight. He saw how Nomi tried to make herself smaller, shoulders drawn inward. He saw Sunny swallowing hard, fighting tears she wouldn't let fall. Something tightened in his chest, an instinct he thought had been buried with his brother. He wondered what had driven them this far, how long they had gone without safety, whether the drifters rumored to be moving north had crossed their path. He couldn't ask all of it. He chose the simplest truth. "You can come in," he said. Asha's shoulders loosened slightly. Leah didn't move until Adam stepped aside, clearing the path to the cabin. Only then did she signal her sisters forward. Sunny exhaled shakily and followed. The cabin was small, built from rough pine, and repaired more times than Adam could count. A single lantern cast a warm, low glow over plain furniture worn smooth by years of use. The stove still held a trace of heat, enough to take the edge off the cold clinging to their skin. Adam closed the door and watched them pause, uncertain where to stand. Leah stayed near the entrance, placing herself subtly between Adam and her younger sisters. Her eyes moved constantly, not searching for comfort, but for danger. Adam recognized the vigilance. He kept his movements slow. "There's bread," he said, nodding to the table. "Not much, but it'll help until I heat something." Sunny stepped toward it, then stopped when Leah touched her arm. Leah waited, watching Adam, When she decided he wasn't lying, she gave a brief nod. Sonny took a piece with trembling hands. Adam felt the weight of that moment. It wasn't trust, only survival. The sisters ate quietly. Adam leaned against the counter, careful not to loom. He noticed Asha checking on each sister before taking anything herself. He noticed Nomi blinking rapidly, overwhelmed by being indoors. He noticed Leia sitting straight even while chewing, ready to move if needed. The ranch had been empty by design, but watching them in the lamplight stirred something he hadn't felt in years. "You can sleep in the spare room," Adam said. "Floor's clean. I'll get blankets." Asha nodded. "Thank you." Adam stepped outside with the blankets, the cold biting hard against his face. He paused on the porch, looking back at the cabin where 4 strangers now stood under his roof. He hadn't planned this. His life worked because it was predictable. But the house no longer felt hollow, and the realization unsettled him as much as it eased something deep inside. Inside, Leia watched the door he'd gone through. Her eyes softened just a fraction. She didn't trust him, but she didn't feel threatened, and that was more comfort than she'd expected. The sisters settled into the spare room. Asha murmured instructions to Nomi. Sonny finally loosened her grip on Leia's sleeve. Adam stood outside another moment, absorbing the shift. The cabin creaked as the temperature dropped, wood tightening with soft pops. Adam fed the stove, sparks flaring briefly, revealing the sisters settling in. Asha arranged their few belongings neatly. Nomi rubbed Sonny's arms, humming softly. Leia stayed closest to the doorway, her presence a quiet warning. "I'll shut the barn," Adam said. "Then I'll bring water." Leia nodded once. Outside, frost formed under Adam's boots as he crossed the yard. He latched the barn door and thought about the weight now resting inside his cabin. He wondered how long they'd stay, what dangers followed them, whether the calm of Willow Bend could hold. When he returned with water, Leia stood near the stove. She tested the kettle's weight, unsure of her place. "You can warm your hands," Adam said. She hesitated, then did, the firelight catching a faint tremor in her fingers. He noticed a scrape on her wrist and said nothing. Asha asked what they should avoid touching. "Use what you need," Adam replied. The cabin filled with soft sounds, fabric shifting, water dripping, breaths evening out. For the first time since arriving, the sisters relaxed into themselves. Adam sat at the table, watching the fire instead of them. After a while, Leia spoke quietly. "We came from south of the ridge. Our camp was attacked 2 nights ago." Adam listened. 6 men, armed. They took most of what we had. "They saw us escape," Adam straightened. "They might follow." Leia nodded. "Or they won't. We couldn't stay." "You're safe here," Adam said. "I'll see anyone coming long before they reach the house." Asha exhaled. Leia's stance eased. As night deepened, Adam prepared a bed near the table. "You're not using your bed?" Asha asked. "It's yours tonight." Leia searched his face and found no deceit. The lamp dimmed. Wind brushed the walls. Sonny slept first, then Nomi. Asha kept watch until exhaustion won. Leia stayed awake the longest, studying Adam's still form before finally lying down. She whispered something in Apache, too soft to hear. Relief and worry woven together. The fire dimmed. The ranch held 5 lives instead of 1, and for the first time in years, Adam didn't feel the night close in around him alone. Dawn broke slowly over Willow Bend, pale light spilling across the frost-touched ground and creeping toward the cabin windows. Adam rose before the sun cleared the ridge, careful not to disturb the quiet breathing behind him. The sound was different from the silence he had lived with for years. It wasn't empty. It was alive. He pulled on his boots and stepped outside, scanning the open land the way habit demanded. No dust trails, no riders, only the wide, honest stillness of morning. When he returned, the cabin door creaked softly. Leia stood near the stove, hair loose, posture alert but no longer sharp. She looked less like someone racing for flight and more like someone considering staying. "Nothing out there," Adam said. She nodded, absorbing the reassurance without words. The others stirred soon after. Sonny blinked at the light and smiled faintly when she realized where she was. Nomi wrapped a blanket tighter around her shoulders, and Asha stood straighter than the night before, steadiness returning to her voice. Adam cooked what little he had left without comment. They ate together quietly, but the silence was no longer heavy. After breakfast, Asher spoke plainly. "We don't want to take without giving. Let us help." Adam looked at the fences, the barn, the endless list of work he'd carried alone for years. "Then we start here," he said. The day unfolded in small, meaningful motions. Boards were lifted, nails driven. The rhythm of shared labor settled into something natural. Sunny laughed when she dropped a nail in the dirt. Nomi swept the barn floor, humming softly. Asher worked beside Adam without complaint, strong and precise. Leah stayed watchful, but her eyes no longer searched for escape routes. She watched Adam instead, the way he worked without hurry, without expectation. By afternoon, the fence stood solid again. Adam wiped his hands and leaned against the post, breathing deeper than he had in years. Asha approached him, her voice calm but resolute. "We won't forget this," she said. Adam shook his head. "You don't owe me memory. Just stay safe." Leah stepped forward then, meeting his gaze fully for the first time. "If danger comes," she said, "we'll stand with you." The words weren't dramatic. They were a promise. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the land. As the sisters walked back toward the cabin together, Adam followed, feeling the weight of the day settle into something steady instead of heavy. That night the cabin held warmth, quiet conversation, and the simple comfort of shared presence. Adam lay back, staring at the ceiling, realizing the ranch no longer felt like a place to hide. It felt like something worth protecting. Willow Bend had stood empty for years, but now it held purpose again. Not because he planned it, not because he asked for it, but because when 4 strangers needed shelter, he opened his door. And in doing so, he found something he thought he had lost forever. The night passed gently, and for the first time since his brother's death, Adam Mercer didn't feel alone when morning came.